Unable to go live. Hello, everybody across America and around the world. It's Thursday, and that means it's the favorite conversation between Will Johnson, Unite America First, founder, CEO, and chief bottle washer, and me, Barry Nussbaum of American Truth Project. Before we get going, want to remind everyone, go over to findbarry.com. Sign up for free for all of our content. Everything on American Truth Project is always free. You don't have to pay for it at all, and we'll send it to you every week. And Will, well, he's a freebie provider too. Unite America First, you'll get all of his content. Hello, Will.
What's going on, Barry?
Happy Thursday, bro.
Oh man, what a Thursday it is.
Yeah, it sure is, man. It sure is. Let's start off with your favorite network. And by that, I mean MSDNC. Oh my gosh. It is such a tragedy. I'm so busted up and sad over it. That's me crying. MSNBC viewership has plummeted since the election. Not gone down, plummeted. They are down 31%, while at the same time, since the election, literally, Fox is up 61%. And when you go through some of the demographic analyses, Alex Wagner way down, Chris Hagewell down, Last Word with Lawrence O'Donnell way down. Some of them down 54% in prime time. Could this happen to a nicer group? There's some of the big hitters. Every one of them is crying about how many viewers have been lost. That's Joy Reid, Alex Wagner, Chris Hayes, Lawrence O'Donnell. 16% down during the day, 57% during prime time. They are hemorrhaging. And I mean hemorrhaging. It is so bad. As of
it's so
today,
good. It's so good.
Oh, I'm sorry, so good that it's bad. Comcast, that owns MSNBC, is saying, that's it. We're going to sell it and get out. The question is, who wants to own it? Who's going to buy the network?
Someone suggested that, there's an older man who just bought up a whole bunch of radio stations. I think it was 160 radio stations. And you would imagine that this old man that purchased all of these radio stations and happened to be conservative radio stations, that maybe he would just buy MSDNC. But there's been no word of that.
You're talking about George Soros, I assume.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But he only did it because he wanted to shut down the conservative voice. And we know this. But MSDNC, that will be a bad investment for anybody. I don't think even Elon Musk would entertain the idea.
Well, keep in mind, you've got a station that is paying its biggest draw, Rachel Maddow. We talked about this last week, like what, $30 million? She works one day a week. It's insane. It's completely insane. And the thing that made them famous or infamous and put them on the map, Will Johnson, was, I hate Donald Trump more than you. Want to bet? And what's really weird, and I don't know any other word for it other than really weird, the Morning Joe team, who hates Trump so bad they must have called him Hitler 100 times, flew to Mar-a-Lago to meet with Trump and came back and said, we had a good chat. And the left wing is going psychotic over it. I mean, like completely nuts that they talked to Hitler. What do you make of that? Why did they go?
They went there to kiss the ring, to bend the knee for President Trump and say, don't come after us. Don't come after us. We lied about you all this time. We're here to say we're sorry. We'll do better. We'll do better because the network, Barry, they've taken such a huge blow from all of the hateful things that they have been saying and even doing that is extremely damaging to the network. And now they're trying to go to Trump and, say some nice things about us. Say some say some nice things about us. Help us stay relevant. Help us stay alive. Say some nice things about us. And from what I understand, President Trump pretty much, he talked to him because that's who he is, getting the benefit of the doubt, but he's not buying anything that they have. He's not buying anything that they're telling him. They're suffering from TDS like it's unbelievable.
Well, it's
And
almost like it, but think about this, if God forbid somebody that you know and care about gets really sick and it's really contagious, you stay away from them, and now that Mika and her hubby Morning Joe have flown to Mar-a-Lago and sat down with Hitler, now they're radioactive and everybody's coming after them for having the
yes,
audacity to talk to the Nazi as
yeah,
if they're not a news organization. They are the publicity arm of the Democrat Party, and they cross the line to talk to the dictator who's going to kill everybody.
yeah. Barry, you're absolutely right. How dare you go talk to him? It's our job to destroy him. And now you're talking to him, and now you said nice things about him. I mean, and now you're trying to paint him in a different light than what we want to see him in. Rosie O'Donnell, I was told, I haven't seen it, but I was told Rosie O'Donnell, she put a comment on social media saying, I would never watch Morning Joe again. I would never, ever, ever, ever watch him. Rosie O'Donnell is so, and not only
I didn't
that,
know anybody. Does anybody care about her anymore? I haven't heard her name in forever.
you know, she's, yeah, I don't know who cares about it, but we know who she is, and she put out a statement saying she's upset to go prove your point that the radical left, they're upset with Morning Joe and Mika now because they went and actually had a conversation with President Trump, and not on here calling him Hitler and fascist and everything else you can think of. And you know what? I heard that their rating is in the dirt as well. And after they went to Mar-a-Lago, Barry, and all of the left is upset with them, they lost another roughly around 20% of viewership. 20% more on top of what they already lost. And all this comes down to because people are tired of hearing the lies from them. They were pushing propaganda over and over and over again. And people said, nope, no more. And one more thing, the lady Stephanie that interviewed Kamala Harris during the general election, the campaign, she's
Right.
down 67%.
Wow. Wow.
And so now Comcast is what Comcast is trying to think. There's no way that we can keep them sustain this. And NBC, that is, NBC that's separate from the MSNBC, they're wanting to cut the ties between them as well because you're going down. We don't want to go down with you.
Yeah, but what's curious is, and I didn't think about it till today, MSNBC utilizes the NBC News department to gather information. Of course, then they change it. It's not bad enough that NBC is very, very left wing. It ain't left wing enough because
Yeah.
they're not calling for the death of anybody yet, like MSNBC, and they're not calling for mass indictments and lockups and so on, which is MSNBC. The only thing to the left of MSNBC left in news world is The View. And
Well,
there's nobody else. And I can't imagine somebody buying this organization with the premise of, I'm in it to make money. It ain't never going to make money, bro.
no,
Nobody
it's not.
wants it.
And you brought up The View. Stormy, no, not Stormy, Sunny on The View. She was on there and just Matt Gaetz this, Matt Gaetz that, just really just coming down on Matt Gaetz, Matt Gaetz, Matt Gaetz. And within the next couple of minutes, she had to read a lawyer, a law rebuttal, or, I forget exactly what they call
It
it.
was an apology letter written by a
Yeah,
lawyer.
basically, yes, saying I'm sorry for saying what I said, and she was not happy.
Did you see her face? It was like,
She was cockeyed and everything. She
oh
was
man, you guys
mad.
just did. I really want my cat back. Can I please have my cat back? It was horrible. It was horrible.
If you could test a temperature, it'd probably be in the high 166 degrees.
Speaking of The View, let's move on. There's a very famous person that sits on the left side of the table. Her name is Karen Johnson. She made up her name in show business. She made up a biography, and she now portrays herself, this is not a joke, as a woman who needs to go to work to pay her bills. And she's a hardworking woman. And if it wasn't for her needing the money because she's a hardworking woman, she wouldn't be going to work every day. Here is Karen Johnson in her own words.
People are having a hard time. Me too.
Yeah.
I work for a living. If I had all the money in the world, I would not be here.
Karen Johnson is also known as Whoopi Goldberg, which is the name she made up. She has to go to work because she has no money. She works for a living. She's struggling to buy groceries. She's worth $60 million in cash. They are so disconnected, Will, that the average housewife who watches that show cannot relate to someone who goes, I'm just like you. I have to go to work. I need money for groceries. And she's making what, 8-10 million a year?
Yeah, I saw someone did a study on exactly how much she was making, and that's only what we know about, because she has other endeavors that she's involved in. Well, they were doing a study on how much money she makes after taxes, Barry. This is after taxes, because she pays a lot of taxes. She's happy to do so. She's a liberal. She takes home between $72,000 and $80,000 a week. A week. Between $72,000 and $80,000 a week. She's making more in a week than most people make in a year. Most people. Because the average is about 60, between 40 and 60,000 for the average for the year. She's taking home 78,000 a week.
Okay, so just to be clear, because I'm not sure what you're saying, are you saying Karen Johnson doesn't really have to work for a living to pay for her groceries?
Well, if maybe she has one of those $11,000 refrigerators with a pint of ice cream that costs $250, then yeah, maybe she is struggling.
After that statement, it was as dumb as Kamala Harris coming on The View, being asked the question, what would you change if you could change anything from the last 4 years?
I can't think of anything.
I can't think of anything. And that went so viral. Her campaign was over exactly then. Kind of like Karen Johnson has lost all credibility exactly then. I'll tell you who hasn't lost credibility, and he just went up in my esteem, which is the speaker, Mike Johnson. Interesting thing just happened. A transgender man or woman, I'm not even sure what to call the guy. It's a man who dresses as a girl and changed his name to a girl. Just got elected to Congress. The first transsexual Congress woman person.
He's from Delaware, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. And a fellow woman, this one biological woman, with woman parts, is having a cow, because and you've been in the house, and so have I, and there's limited amounts of restrooms. They don't want this guy in the bathroom with the lady congresswoman, nor in the gym where they have little tiny lockers downstairs where they work out and shower,
Mhm.
because they should have the ability to get some stress off, and they don't want to be naked in front of a man, no matter what he calls himself, right? So the restrooms, the changing rooms, the locker rooms, according to this congresswoman, are now off limits to men. The congresswoman that started this uproar is Nancy Mace. This is her, and she's from South Carolina. She introduced a bill to bar transgender women from facilities on Capitol Hill, unless the facility matches her identity, her gender, her real gender. So Sarah McBride, this is him, her, whatever. That's a man who's now calling himself Sarah, who got elected. You're right, from Delaware. Um, he wants to be able to go in any bathroom. He wants to be able to go into the gym. He wants to use the changing rooms off the House floor, and so on. And he said, it's not important what restroom I use. We should be talking about what Delawareans want, like bringing down the costs facing families and inflation. And I don't want to talk about the bathrooms. But he can't go in the girls' bathroom anymore because the speaker did the right thing. And he said, this is how he put it: I'm traditional. I believe in what the Bible says. There's men and there's women. And the men don't go where the women go, and the women don't go where the men go. Yes, Mr. Speaker. Well done. Your thought?
Well, Tim, that's his name, changed to Sarah from Delaware, went to Congress, of course, and you have all of those on the left trying to say that this is an attack on one particular person, one specific person. And Nancy Mace is essentially saying, basically saying that no, this is not an attack. This is to address an issue that you and your delusion is trying to push onto the rest of us. What about the thousands of women on Capitol Hill? The thousands of women that should just be able to go into a restroom, into a locker room, into their safe space, and not have to worry about a man following them in there. A man should not be in there. Now, put it like this: the Democrats are all coming out saying that they're upset because of the way he is dressed. This is the excuse that they're using. The Democrats are saying Republicans are upset because Sarah, aka Tim, is showing up in a dress with lipstick on. And that's not the case, because if that was the case, I don't even think that there's actual dress code, because if there was a dress code, John Fetterman would not be able to show up in tennis shoes and shorts and a hoodie on Capitol Hill. So that has nothing to do with it. It has everything to do with him accessing these facilities that other women are entering in. They can't conveniently leave that part out. They conveniently leave that detail out. And then you have AOC. AOC came out and had a statement about this, saying that what the GOP is doing is actually putting women in harm's way. So let's get this straight.
Whoa.
Let's get this straight.
You lost.
I had to do the same thing. I'll repeat it. AOC said that the GOP, by not allowing Tim, aka Sarah, to go into the women's restroom, you are putting women and girls in harm's way. This is what AOC is saying. So by preventing this man from going into the restroom with women and girls, that's going to bring women and girls some harm. This is how we know we're dealing with unstable people in the year 2024.
So Tim being told, by the way, I want to add one more thing. There are private restrooms. In other words, like when you go to Target, there's male and female, and then there's a private one. You can go in like you want to change your baby or you need to do something really private.
Sometimes they call them family restrooms.
Yeah.
You
So
go in there with your kids, etc.
yeah, so Tim can go in that restroom, and they have them all over. So it's not like the guy can't go potty. He can go in private. He just can't expose himself to women because that's what Congresswoman Mace was concerned about.
Yeah,
And
that's
she
the
said,
problem.
if I have to, I'll bring this to the floor for a vote. And now that the House is controlled by the GOP, guess how that vote's going to go, AOC? Boys on the boys' rooms, girls in the girls' rooms. And if that ain't good enough, you go in the private room.
Yeah, Barry, the year 2024, why are we talking about this? Why is this an issue? Have we not figured it out? Didn't they just have a whole campaign saying not going back? I mean, have we not advanced enough to realize that a man is a man and a woman's a woman? I mean, do we need to go back and relearn all of that?
I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what
I
to
mean,
tell
let
you.
me ask you, Barry, what is wrong with our society? You know, you notice I keep bringing that up a lot lately. Something is truly wrong with our
let me
society.
just tell you one thing. We're getting better because there's a lot of changes going on. And we are 2 months out from it all going down, 2 months from today. And you're going to see so much change. Your head's going to spin around like Linda Blair in The Exorcist. Hopefully no green bonnet. I'm just telling you, it's going to be so different.
I never knew that was her name.
And she only made one movie. That was it.
I just thought she was a Democrat. I mean,
so I just want to give you some good news. Now I got to give you some bad news just to keep it balanced. When I was a youngster, the coolest car in the world was the Jaguar XKE. And you know, the English made these incredibly beautiful sports cars. They were very expensive to buy and very expensive to maintain. You had to be best friends with like a mechanic because they had to be constantly tuned up. Well, Jaguar apparently missed the boat. They didn't realize, maybe their ad agency's a little behind the times, that when Bud Light went woke, it blew up in their face. Lowe's blew up in their face. Home Depot, United Airlines, Tractor Supply, John Deere,
Harley Davidson.
Thank you. And they've all gone back to, forget that DEI stuff. We're just going to sell products to Americans that we're not going to tell them about sexuality. Well, unfortunately, Jaguar missed the boat. This is their brand new released last night commercial. Tell me what this is selling. What are they selling?
The car? Where's the car?
Thank you. Okay, good start. No car. Yes. What are they selling you, Will?
I think they're selling you a trip on a safari to go see some jaguars. I mean, because it can't be about a car.
Except I didn't see any animals. Look.
Maybe they got them all.
Maybe the animals got scared and ran away. Because I got scared and I watched it on a computer. Look, they're selling androgynously ambiguous men and women who none of them could ever drive a car. None of them are ever going to have jobs. None of them can write $100,000 check to buy a Jag. And this is going to make you buy one if you had them. I would run so far away from the Jaguar dealership if they were playing that in there when I went to look at a really nice sports car. Blech.
You know, I, I don't even know what the thought process behind that. Of course, this has to do with someone that has, that had the position. Oh, I get to design the commercial, the ad for the new vehicle. I get to do it. I know. Let's do this and let's get all these people in here and push a certain agenda on everybody. Not even show the vehicle that we're trying to sell everyone to get them excited about the vehicle, but we're going to get them to be excited about something else because hey, we have a budget to spend it on this new vehicle. Let's just go ahead and spend it on this, and we'll call it that. Did you see the video that Volvo put out? Volvo just recently, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Volvo just recently put out a video, a car video. And Barry, they actually showed the car. And they actually showed a man and a woman. And they were a couple. And then they found out that they were pregnant. And they showed them growing up and having a Volvo vehicle in their life as the little girl was growing up in a family, where the little girl was produced. Completely opposite, pro-life, pro-family, Volvo video compared to Jaguar. And that's how I came about this story. They were talking about Jaguar, and then someone was saying, but look at the Volvo ad.
Jaguar's going to lose market share.
Oh,
We've been talking about Bud Light for a year, brother. They still have not recovered. I watched the football games on Sunday. They're running funny ads now, trying to be America's beer again, and nobody's buying it. Nobody.
Yeah.
And they're hiring like the Patrick Mahomes, all the big names, trying to get people to buy their beer. Oh, they're so screwed.
Yeah. I think the only place they can sell the beer is on The View.
Well said. I know he's still controversial. John Thune has taken over as Senate Majority Leader. There's some controversy that the election was in secret and the ballots weren't publicized and blah, 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 whatever. If your guy doesn't win, then it's fraudulent. And if your guy wins, then you just call it sour grapes on the other side. I can tell you that John Thune made a wonderful speech about Israel and what's going on at the International Criminal Court. And by explanation, I can tell you the International Criminal Court has just issued arrest warrants for the Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu and the just replaced Defense Minister Yoav Gallant in Israel for war crimes against humanity because they're wiping out Palestinians and starving them to death, both of which are not true. It turns out that entire investigation done by the International Criminal Court at the insistence of South Africa was paid for by, get this, surprise alert, Iran. And nobody seems to want to do anything about it. First, let's look at John Thune's speech, then we can discuss it.
18 months now since Hamas terrorists waged war against Israel, and for the past year plus, Democrats have struggled to support our ally Israel and has literally fractured the Democrat Party. For example, we are expecting tomorrow Senator Sanders to offer a resolution denying lethal aid to Israel. The refusal to have our allies back and the hesitation to call out anti-Semitism in our own country has consequences. It enables bad behavior and bad actors around the world, and it encourages others to abandon Israel in their time of need. Now you have the International Criminal Court, or the ICC, and its prosecutor pursuing warrants against Israeli officials. That is outrageous, and it is unlawful. The ICC rogue actions are a threat to our ally Israel, and left unchecked, it could pose a threat to America in the future. I am calling on Leader Schumer to bring a bill to the floor sanctioning the ICC, which the House has already passed on a bipartisan basis. And if he refuses to act, our Senate Republican majority next year will. We will stand with Israel and make this and other supportive legislation a top priority in the next Congress. So to our allies in Israel and to the Jewish people around the world, my message to you is this: reinforcements are on the way. Senate Republicans reclaim the majority in 6 weeks. And when we do, we will make clear that the United States Congress stands squarely in Israel's corner, and we will help the Trump-Vance administration defend Israel and promote peace in the region.
Wow. Schumer had 4 years to make a speech like that. Never did. In fact, Chuck Schumer is the most un-Jewish Jew in the Senate, who specifically told Bibi Netanyahu not to come, told him he wasn't welcome at the Senate, has promoted a boycott of Israel being armed, and seems to have a whole lot of sympathy for the murderous thugs in Gaza instead of the victims who are in Israel. God bless John Thune for that speech.
Yeah, I still have my reservations about John Thune.
I figured you would.
You know, he said everything, and I like it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I like everything that he said, and I want him to stick to everything that he said. But I have my reservations about him because he reminds me of a Mitch McConnell. He reminds me of some of these other ones that come out and they say real nice things and they actually do the opposite. But I don't have any issues on being wrong. I hope that I'm wrong. But it kind of looks like that I might not be, especially after what they did to Matt Gaetz. But then again, I don't know. It's just at this point, it's just my opinion about it. And I hope I'm wrong about him. And I wasn't wrong about McCarthy. I call him sometimes McCarthy. Reminds me of the same thing there. He sometimes be with the Republican Party, and a lot of times he would side with the Democrats. So we shall see. We shall see. But I mean, remember when Chuck Schumer came out, Israel, we're gonna stand with Israel. What happened? Because I was like, is he actually saying this? I'm like, wow, okay. Then we had something else happen.
All right, what do you want?
Well, that's the problem. You know, they always say talk is cheap. And if you want to know what I'm thinking, watch what I do.
Yeah.
Not what I say, in the words of the Reagan administration. And that's the tough part. So John Thune made the right speech. The Senate gets sworn in the first week in January, which is in 5.5 weeks. Let's see if they step up. Let's see if they step up. On the day that Schumer hands over the gavel to Thune, he's going to be reminded by all the supporters of Israel, you promised. He said help is on the way. Reinforcements are coming.
Well, we got to get there, you know. I mean, for some
5
reason, we
weeks.
got these rockets going off in Russia. So, and
I'm
Putin
with
actually,
you.
yeah, Putin put out a statement about all of that too. So, interesting times. Interesting times.
I hope Thune comes out to be the guy that he says he is. We'll see.
Same
Benefit
here.
of the
Same
doubt in place. Back in 5 weeks, I'll let you know.
Yep.
I'll tell you who is becoming the most popular man in the Western world right now is Elon Musk. Every day he does something more amazing than the day before. What I found incredibly impressive is the speech he made about this. This is what I wear. You've got one. Everyone I know has one. It's bring home the hostages. It says bring them home now in Hebrew and in English. And I want you to see what the richest man on planet Earth just said a few days ago in regards to his bracelet that he wears around his neck. It's incredibly impressive.
What it is?
Why don't you tell everybody?
This says bring them home. The hostages. It was given to me by the parents of one of the hostages. And I said I would wear it as long as there was a hostage still remaining. And I have. The Jewish people have been persecuted for thousands of years. Everyone here has seen the massive demonstrations for Hamas in every major city in the West. That should be jarring.
He's right. That should be jarring. He's not going to take his off. I'm not going to take mine off. I also have the hostage pin that is worn by a number of congressional leaders in both houses and leaders around the world. Every day that I learn more about Elon Musk, I get more impressed by what he does. I mean, if Tesla wasn't enough, the largest electric car in the world company, the boring company where he's drilling tunnels that everyone said is impossible. The satellite company, Starlink, delivering satellite communications around the world for internet. His company that is literally transforming space travel with SpaceX. And on top of all these successes, worth billions and billions of dollars. By the way, he founded PayPal. It took over PayPal and made it what it is. He is about to become the leader of Doge, which is the Department of Government Efficiency with Vivek Ramaswamy. And they're talking about laying off like hundreds of thousands of workers that, as far as he's concerned, are just sucking up money and doing nothing. He is truly, and I mean this literally, an American hero.
Oh yeah.
And when he says, bring them home, I'm not taking this off till the hostages come out. God bless Elon Musk. I truly mean it. What a great American. What a great man.
Oh yeah. And you're right. They're talking about cutting a whole bunch of fat. One of them they're talking about cutting, Barry, is Planned Parenthood. And that has them really, really upset. And you know, I saw that video with Elon Musk wearing his badge. I actually have mine right here. I don't know if you can see it. It's hanging right there on my cross. And every time I do a show, it's right there. You know, I used to have it right here on my microphone, but I adjusted my microphone. But I want to make sure that it's always visible. No matter what, it's always visible. Because the hostages that are held there, they're not just Americans either. They're people, to my understanding, from all walks of life that they're holding. And
It's
of
true.
course, you have people that want to ignore it and don't want to acknowledge it. And the very fact that Elon Musk is acknowledging these hostages, acknowledging Israel, is kind of remarkable because he's supposed to be on their side, rejecting Israel. That's what they expect from someone who's rich. And they keep saying that President Trump only wants to make it easier for rich people so they can make more money, give them tax break. But most of the people that are rich happen to be liberals. And most of these rich people that are liberals don't want to have anything to do with Israel. Even the ones that are Jewish. Oh, imagine that.
Well, it's like, and you know, I've talked about this too many times because I've been embarrassed too many times about it. For many Jews, they are more concerned with liberalism as their religion than the Bible as their religion. And they couldn't quote any words of God because what really matters is Planned Parenthood or feeding the illegal immigrants because we shouldn't have a border wall or other similar silliness that, for the life of me, I just don't understand where they're coming from. But the truth is, it takes someone like Elon Musk, who is not Jewish, who stands up for what's right and says, hey, the country was invaded. They were massacred. It was a horrible massacre. I'm not taking off the hostage placard until the hostages come home. Trump said the same thing. And Trump said he will bring the hostages home. And I believe him, unlike Kamala and Joe Biden, who have lied for 4 years. And American hostage families go to the White House and plead and beg for help, and they get nothing.
Yeah, they could have done it already. They could have done it over a year ago. They could have said, nope, you know what? Hamas, you're not going to do this. We're sending in the Marines. You either give them up right now. We're going to give you 24 hours because we're not trying to get in this conflict. So we'll give you 24 hours. And 24 hours come, they could have gone in and got them. They could have gone in, sending the Marines, wipe. And Israel would have been like, thank you for getting rid of the cockroach problem. But they didn't do that because Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, the Democrats, they don't care about Americans. For them, they said you shouldn't have been there in the first place, especially you're in Israel where they reject Israel. And you've even heard Kamala Harris saying, well, Israel, they should be able to defend themselves and fight for them. We're going to support them. And then in another breath, she's talking about genocide that's happening against a group of people. And I'm like, come on. It's like,
Israel could have committed genocide on October 8th had they wanted to, with carpet bombing Gaza.
They could have turned into a sheet of glass, Barry.
Yep.
And they wouldn't even be talking about, they'll be talking about, man, what happened to all the people? But they're not doing that. They're still dropping leaflets, Barry. They're still dropping information, sending text messages saying, hey, you might want to leave this location. Who does
100%.
that?
The most moral army in the world. That's who does it. And there's no other thing to call them but that. I alluded to this earlier in the episode today, Will. The International Criminal Court, which is not recognized by either Israel or the United States, has really stepped in at this time. They've issued international arrest warrants for Bibi Netanyahu and Yoav Gallant for war crimes. Yoav Gallant is the former defense minister of Israel. And their crime, the war crimes that they committed, attempting to free the hostages that are being held underground in tunnels and in cages in some cases, grabbed over a year ago. This is what Bibi Netanyahu said today. He said the anti-Semitic decision of the International Criminal Court is equivalent to the modern Dreyfus trial. And that was a trial in France a couple hundred years ago where they falsely accused a Jewish officer of treason. He was later exonerated. It will also end the same way. Israel rejects with disgust the absurd and false actions and charges against it by the ICC, which is biased and a discriminatory political body. This is nothing more than a war that Israel has been waging in Gaza since the 7th of October, after the terrorist organization Hamas launched a murderous attack against it and carried out the largest massacre committed against the Jewish people since the Holocaust. That's what Bibi said. And he goes on and on and on. And we will not put up with this. Here's what the incoming national security advisor, just appointed by President Trump, had to say. This is Mike Waltz. The ICC has no credibility, and these allegations have been refuted by the U.S. government. Israel has lawfully defended its people and borders from genocidal terrorists. You can expect a strong response to the anti-Semitic bias of the ICC and the United Nations come January. New horse in town in 6 weeks. When the Senate changes, they're going to change a whole lot, and I would not be disappointed at all if we just got out of the UN. I mean, enough's enough. It's a kangaroo court of idiots, and I truly mean that.
It really is. They at one point they wanted to put President Trump on that list.
Of course. Here's Mike Waltz, the incoming national security advisor. That was the speech you just heard. He's a wonderful man. Was a congressman, I believe, from Michigan, and will be a fantastic national security advisor. Truly fantastic. I hope he is immediately confirmed, and I want to see some big changes when it comes to how we address these people, including the International Criminal Court. And as far as I'm concerned, to heck with the UN. I mean, it is so corrupt. It is so corrupt. You know, perfect example, when I was on the Lebanese border filming and the Syrian border filming, I could see the UN outposts. And I was told over and over and over and over again, the tunnels go right under their outposts. They can see the tunneling. They do nothing. It's come out that they've admitted it, and the UN staff has been cooperating with Hezbollah to build these tunnels for the last 10 years. UNIFIL is the United Nations interim force in Lebanon. They have one job, only one job: keep Hezbollah out of South Lebanon, keep them north of the Litani River. They say they're incapable of doing it. They say they won't do it, and they won't leave Lebanon. So they sit there as outposts for the terrorists. And what does Biden do? Gives them more money and tells Israel, you better not get near them. You better leave them alone. Why is he doing that?
Well, hatred for Israel. I mean, that's I guess for lack of words, that's what it really comes down to. Because, and there's another, I think there's probably even more of a sinister reason too, because they want the conflict to continue to happen. I mean, look, they were funding, or they allowed Iran, basically funding Iran as well. You can call it funding. And then what did Iran do? They funded Hezbollah and Hamas and other terrorist organizations to attack Israel. That's the ultimate goal. And they knew in order to get this conflict started, you're going to have to help Iran, because leaving Iran out of the mix, they will never be able to go anywhere. Even Hamas wouldn't have the resources unless Iran was helping them. And they enabled Iran to be able to enable Hamas and Hezbollah and the other ones. I mean, that's where the main culprit is, right? It's
all the money's coming from Iran, and we funded it.
Yes.
Me, Biden, we funded it.
And I hate to say this, but it's a similar the same thing that's happening over in Russia with Ukraine, right? We're funding Ukraine, and I've heard reports now that the United States of America, the military soldiers, are the ones operating these long-range missiles. So why are they doing this? Why is this happening? I think because they want the conflict. I've said this. How many years have I known you, Barry? And I've said this a long time about they want conflict, even before the conflict got here. And every time they rise to the occasion and they create the conflict, they actually want to come to the peace negotiation table. And who stopped it? The United States. They stopped it in Israel and also in Ukraine. But the United States of America came in and said, no, we can't stop this. We can't stop this because you can't allow them to win. It's actually it's disturbing, really.
We're going to end the story today on a story from you, Will, and I appreciate it. It's a long video, but it's worth it. This tells a whole different side of Israel, not an apartheid state. Thanks for sending this over. I appreciate it.
Supports Israel. Let's see what people think about that.
So it says you support Israel. How so?
There are more than 53 Muslim countries. There are more than 63 Christian countries. There's only one Jewish country. So why would I not support the only Jewish country that exists?
Just because Hamas has attacked whatever Israel is doing is okay. I think what Israel wants is to just remove Palestine from the global map.
Can you define genocide for me? What does genocide mean?
It's a planned killing of a community, of an ethnic culture.
Genocide actually means killing a large amount of people with intention to get rid of them. Do you think that's what Israel is doing?
Yeah.
Has Israel killed millions of Palestinians?
Yeah.
Millions of Palestinians.
Over time, since 1947, yes.
That's actually not true. Saudi Arabia and the Iranian regime have killed 500,000 Yemenis, people from my country, in the past 10 years. So if we're just going to play the numbers, then Saudi Arabia has committed genocide in Yemen. But you don't want to get rid of them, but you want to get rid of Israel.
I never not wanted them to have a country. I'm against Zionism.
What is Zionism? You know that you're a Zionist because you literally said that you believe that Jews should have a country. That's what Zionism means.
The situation can be resolved in a peaceful way.
But do you think you can negotiate with terrorists who literally try to kill all Jews?
I don't think that Israel's been trying hard enough.
They tried to negotiate the hostage deal with Hamas, but it didn't work out.
That hostage deal went sour when Israel let them take the hostages.
Israel didn't let them take the hostages.
No,
they just stole the hostages.
Would you be critical of the scale of civilian death and suffering in Gaza today?
When it comes to Hamas, which is what the Israeli government is trying to eradicate, they are the ones who are using Palestinians as human shield. And they are the ones who are responsible for the fact that so many people are dying. They're not going out and fighting. They are hiding under tunnels, and they're hiding in schools and mosques. And when Israel wants to get to them, eventually and tragically, a lot of people die. And people do not understand this complexity in this war. They push past it and just mention the numbers of people who died and call Israelis and Jews genocidal. Where were all of these protests when literally more Yemenis were killed every single year? It's specifically Israel that triggers people to go out on the street and condemn the war.
Yeah, you're right. There are humanitarian crises and tragedies the world over. They're attacking place for no reason. I feel like
For no reason? Was October 7 not a reason to defend themselves?
What happened October 7?
Hamas, a terror organization, went into Israel, killed 1,200 Israelis and Jews, and kidnapped 200 Israelis and told the Israelis that we're not going to give you back your people.
There's no point in attacking a full group of people.
But what would you do if someone kidnapped your whole family and were hiding under tunnels? Wouldn't you try to attack them and get your family back, or would you just sit back at home and just wait? But
I'll go above and beyond for that person.
I think if the terrorist proxies, if they don't give up and realize that they're losing the war that they're starting, then more Arabs and more Iranians and more Yemenis are going to die, and more Gazans, obviously.
I'm a teacher, so you made education is the way to end it up. I understand that Israel must defend itself. We're just praying for the best.
I don't know if it's anger or hatred, but there was certainly fear that I felt whenever I crossed paths with the Jew.
Why?
Because I thought they are judging me, because I thought they hate me.
I used to hate Jewish people. I denied the Holocaust until I met Jews. Have you ever met a Jew? Exactly, and I do think you should talk to Jewish people. You will be so surprised at how awesome they are.
I feel like Jews and Muslims have a lot in common.
Yes, they do.
So I just hope that this ends soon.
I hope that too. It was lovely talking to you. Have a very beautiful day.
You too.
Nice story, Will. Thank you for that. You often point out something that I say all the time. The Jew haters, the Israel haters, have never been there. They've never met Arabs like this guy. They've never met the black Israelites that serve in the army, the police, the courts. I mean, I had lunch with Miss Israel a few years ago. I don't recall her name. Beautiful girl, African, black African. Her family was Ethiopian. There's more integration in Israel between blacks and whites than there is in the United States. There's Arabs on the Supreme Court and the police force, in all government ministries, in the hospitals, in every position of authority. But every one of the haters, never been there. Never, ever been there.
Yeah. You know, when I see these videos, and I'm actually surprised, and I've been seeing a lot of them, and every time I run across, especially the really good ones, I mean, there's so many more than that, Barry. I don't share all of them with you because I know sometimes I'm like blowing you up. It's like, Will, I'm busy working here, and you're sending me these videos.
Keep them coming, brother. Keep them coming. You're my research guy.
Yeah. But some of them are just so good, I have to share them. And it's really amazing. I'm seeing a shift happen because remember, right after October 7th, and even for a year and a half, you know, because we're like 2 years now, right?
No, it's a year and a month. A year and a month.
Yeah. So the first 6 months, basically, the first 6 months, 8 months, it was just all negative stuff about Israel. I mean, just over and over. And, you know, I would send a few of those to you too. And I'm like, can you believe what they're saying here? I mean, this is crazy. And they're completely wrong, completely lying about what it is that they're doing, pushing the propaganda. But then all of a sudden I'm seeing the explosive, just positive information and videos and content that people are telling the truth, showing about Israel. And of course, you know, and like I said, I haven't sent all of them to you because I mean, it's just some of it is just so good I have to share. But I'm happy to see it. I'm happy to see it because there's so many people that have been completely duped. Let me put it this way. You have Nancy Pelosi, Ilhan Omar, AOC, Presley, the squad, all of them, other Democrats, they hate Israel. And then you have people that call themselves Republican conservatives say Trump, 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 and then they side with Nancy Pelosi and the rest of them when it comes to Israel. Make that make sense.
And in a lot of cases, this is not a joke. In a lot of cases, as you say, they've never been there. It's part of the narrative. What do they call it? The idea that there is a confluence of similar liberal communist issues that are aligned, like LGBTQ and Palestine, which is insane because the Arabs kill you for the crime of homosexuality. Equality of the sexes. That's not a good issue either. They kill you for that, right? It's just because they don't like Jews, and there's no other reason. Because, like you said, none of them have been there, Will.
Yes.
And when they go, they come back and go, "Oh, I was in a cab with an Arab. I had lunch with a black soldier. I met a Muslim judge. I was treated by a Druze doctor," and so on and so on and so on.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, absolutely. And what I've noticed, let me put it this way: I've done a videography for weddings and stuff like that. And I remember one time I did a wedding for a Muslim couple, and I had to get a female photographer, videographer, because the men did not want the women in that side, and they didn't want the man to go on the side with the women during the wedding. And I remember my videographer that was with me was asking me, "Are they Muslim or are they Jewish?" Because they were wearing, I don't know what it's called.
In Hebrew, it's a kippah. In Yiddish, it's a yarmulke. It's the same thing the Pope wears. It's a little hat.
Yeah.
That shows reverence to God.
Yeah, and they were wearing them, and they were asking me, and I said, "No, they're Muslim." I mean, it was because I didn't know either. It was my ignorance, and I had no idea. And there's a lot of people. And this is what it really comes down to: people don't ask questions, and they don't try to learn. They just listen to what they're being told, and then they run with that. Just like a lot of these people, when we showed the videos, do you know why you're out here protesting? No, I really don't know. You've seen those videos. I really don't know. And they get so many people that way, and not realizing that you have people from all walks of life that live in Israel, that participate in the Israel government, and even in the Israel military. Israel is like a melting pot of people, and they all just want to live in peace. But they conveniently leave that detail out. And one more thing, if I can, Barry. The young man that his father was one of the leaders of Hamas that created it, he was telling the story, and I've heard it before, but it didn't hit me until the way he was explaining it. That part of the reason why they don't just want, and you've brought this up too, they just don't want to get rid of all the Jewish people in Israel. They're looking to do this all over the planet. They're starting with Israel because that's where most Jewish people want to concentrate in place where they know. But they want to eradicate Jewish people all over the world for the reason of bringing back, what do they call them? The Matith, or I forget exactly.
Moshiach, which means Messiah in Hebrew.
Yes. So they believe that if they can eradicate all the Jewish people on planet Earth, that would happen. It would trigger off the end time. I'm like, what? And see, they don't bring that information up when they're screaming from the river to the sea.
They literally want the end of the world. So the last imam, which is in Hebrew, Messiah, in English, same thing, will come and save them. But in order to do that, they have to kill all the non-believers. That's you guys and us guys.
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
You're out.
Everybody.
It's not a merger. It's you're dead.
Yeah. You either convert or bye-bye.
Yeah, exactly. It's a ferociously aggressive religious political philosophy that I want to admonish everybody. Spend the $4, get a Quran, read the book. It's all there in black and white. And if you don't read it, you were warned. You have the opportunity, spend a couple hours, know who doesn't want you around.
Yeah,
And
that's wild.
it's some ugly stuff. Again, Will, I want to tell everyone thanks for joining us. We're going to let you know about next week's schedule because it is Thanksgiving. We'll figure something out, but we'll let you know. In the meantime, findbarry.com. It's free to sign up. It'll take you right to American Truth Project. You'll get all of our stuff. You'll be one of the 3 million that follows our articles and our videos with Will Johnson, among others, absolutely for free. And for Will, Unite America First. Will, thanks for coming on with us today. I hope you and everybody out there has a wonderful Thanksgiving, and we will see you next week for sure. Not sure when yet, but we'll figure it out.
Take care.
Bye for now.